Alrighty, we're doing the Ghosts and Graveyards tour.
Yeah.
Ghosts and Gravestones.
Yeah. Woo!
Through Boston. Let's see how this is.
We've been wanting to do this tour for a while.
I wonder if...
Do a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's it.
No, that's not ours. I don't think that's ours. At least it's not on the video or on the website.
Yeah.
You guys. That's our job. I think we found our job.
Got her.
Hello, my friends. Are you all checked in? Very good. Is there anyone here who did not check in? Everyone is checked in? Excellent. 90-minute tour. 0 bathroom breaks. Anyone want directions to the bathroom? Send me a free.
We're coming in at 3.
There we go, we're on the bus. These things aren't too bad.
Yeah, they're nice.
My name is Scarlet Gray, and I am not a ghost. You guys didn't think you signed up for a tour given by an actual ghost tonight, did you? Let's lower our expectations. Oh God, I am worried about your mental health. Let's lower our expectations way down here. No, I'm just a girl who likes to have fun. Woo girls, I like it. So one night about 200 years ago, I decided I'd have a nice fun night out on the town. So I went to visit my local opium den. And there, I was approached by a very tall, very dark, very handsome man. And this man made me a proposition. Not for what you're thinking. Oh my God. His eyebrows went way up. Right next to you. Oh, just met. Right? Later. No, this man told me he could give me what every other man had failed to do before. A likely story. He told me he could give me the gift of eternal beauty and youth. All I had to do is sign my name on the dotted line. But here's the thing. I'm really bad at reading fine print. And instead of getting what I was after, I became cursed to do the most awful, the most vile, the most excuse me. Oh, you're gonna hold it. Thanks. The most wretched thing a person could ever possibly do. Work in tourism. You're clapping for that? Oh my God, you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. The jokes are only gonna get worse. All right. I want to welcome you all now to Boston's historic North End. The North End is famous for many things like pizza and cannolis and Italian people. But what you may not know about this section of our city is stretching out underneath all of these gorgeous brick buildings, reaching out underneath the water, which you can get glimpses of between the brick buildings. There are tunnels. These tunnels weave underneath this entire section of our city, and no one quite knows why they're there. Some say they were used by pirates to smuggle loot into our city. Some say they were used by spies. Others say they were used by witches as escape routes. And those that live here in the North End would say it's just used for some family business. Don't worry about it. Don't ask any questions. It's fine. That was my Italian joke. No one knows why these tunnels are there, but we do know one very important thing. Each and every one of these tunnels intersects in one area name. For everyone, do you guys that are here want to see a trick? My magic trick? Ready? It's called Amazon. My group gathering nice and close. Let's like room for anyone else who's not with our group to get by. Sorry about that. How long flashing? Here's what we're gonna do. You don't even know where you're going. No, you're gonna sprint in. You're gonna go up the stairs to the left, and there's a large monument right in the corner over there. I want you guys to go up, and everyone can fill in around that corner, okay? You don't need to make a large line. Just stay on the path, okay? To the left, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve. They're really cool. All right, I want to welcome you all to Copp's Hill Burial Ground. This is the second oldest burial ground in Boston proper, established in 1659. I know you were all paying attention when you walked in and you said, wow, there are approximately 2,300 headstones here. And I would say you're correct. But that is down from the original 3,000 at the height of the Victorian era. 700 missing headstones. Quick math. Where did they go? Well, you can look around you at these beautiful brick buildings in the North End. Many of them have foundation stones that are headstones from here at Copp's Hill. Perfect. They could just break in here, take one of those out, and put them in their building that they were putting up. In fact, the one that's kind of over across the way there, that had over 70 headstones in the basement alone. And it used to be a nursing home, and that is not a joke. But those numbers are misleading because there are between 10 to 11,000 people actually buried here, and they are buried everywhere with their headstones to which they belong, although that is rare, with headstones to which they do not belong, and sometimes stacked 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 high in the graves themselves. Also, underneath the paths on which you are walking. So I always say, be careful, the paths can be a bit bumpy, but make sure we're all respectful here in Copp's Hill. So how this is going to work is I am going to take you around to a few of my favorite spots here and tell you about people. And I want to start with the Mariner's Tomb. This is a celebrity headstone here in Copp's Hill. This headstone, one of the largest in Copp's Hill, belongs to Captain Daniel Malcolm. Cool. Captain Daniel Malcolm was a true son of liberty. Captain Daniel Malcolm, are you ready for why he's so popular? He was able to smuggle 60 casks of wine into Boston Harbor without paying any taxes. Yeah, he was popular. Everybody loved Captain Daniel Malcolm, except for the British. Now, Captain Daniel Malcolm loved this spot where we are standing, and he wanted his final resting place to be right here. He also requested that he be buried 10 feet down and in a stone grave because he knew that this spot right here was a popular spot for the British Army to occupy, and he did not want to feel British footsteps treading on his final resting place. Now, what he could not have predicted was that the British Army came right here where we are standing during the Battle of Bunker Hill. They lugged their cannons up here, and if these trees weren't here, you would have a clear view of Breed's Hill, which is where the Battle of Bunker Hill was actually fought. When you win a battle in war, you can name it whatever you want, and the British Army could not discern between the hills and Charlestown, and they were like, Bunker Hill, that one. When they were here, they were bored, because I guess there's downtime in battles in the American Revolution, and they were like, let's see, what can we do to entertain ourselves? Oh, they were looking around and said, we know him, Captain Daniel Malcolm. We hate him. You know what we should do? They lined up right along where the fence is now, and they used this, one of the largest headstones in Copp's Hill, as target practice. Yeah. You will see that there are, I'll try and light it up well for you guys. 1, 2, 3 musket ball holes here in Captain Daniel Malcolm's headstone. Okay, let's have a history lesson. The British Army was the most powerful army at the time in the entire world, and they lined up just behind where you guys are, and they used one of the largest headstones as target practice, and they only got off 3 shots. Is it any wonder why they lost the war? Now I know some of you probably spotted this and were like, Scarlet, wait, that right there, that is another musket ball hole. But this is not. It is here from years and years of people saying, this is not a musket ball hole. We're gonna go this way. This is my favorite view of the Old North Church. Of course, famous for Paul Revere hanging the lanterns, 1 if I land, 2 if I see. Isn't it pretty?
Pretty.
Love it. And then if you guys turn, when you get right about here, you can see the Bunker Hill Monument lit up by that spooky thing called the Encore Casino. Just so you guys can see how good of a vantage point this was to fire their cannon. All right, so this is our last stop here in Copp's Hill. I bring you here because this is something rare. You don't see it very often, and by that I mean a triple headstone. These are the graves of George Worthylake, his wife, Anne Worthylake, and their youngest daughter, Ruth Worthylake. George Worthylake was the very first lightkeeper at Boston Light, which is located on Little Brewster Island in the Boston Harbor. This was a promotion for George. It meant he could move his entire family out to the island, where it was like vacation year round. Every now and then, they'd have to come back here to Boston proper to pick up supplies, visit friends and family and such. And one day, George needed to do all of those things, and it was a gorgeous day, so he said, I'll bring my wife, Anne, with me, and our youngest daughter, Ruth. Their eldest daughter, Anna, stayed back on shore. Anna was a moody teenager. She needed alone time. Her parents said, we love that for you. About the time her family was due home, Anna started to wander back and forth along the beach, looking for her family boat. It was such a beautiful day. The sea was like glass, not a cloud in the sky. And eventually Anna saw something appear on the horizon. She watched as that spot became closer and closer until she could make out her mom and her dad and her sister's faces. She waved and smiled at them, and she could see them smiling and waving back. She watched as their family boat inexplicably flipped over in the water, and she watched as one by one her family members violently drowned before her. Anna went mad from these images, and Boston, if you did not know, is a very superstitious city. They began to talk. They did not think it was possible that a man as skilled of a sailor as George Worthylake could possibly have capsized in such pristine conditions. But there's one guy that didn't believe rumors or any superstition, and he was Captain Saunders, the second lightkeeper at Boston Light. And he did a wonderful job for a few days before his body too was found floating in the harbor. He drowned. And again, the people of Boston, well, they talked. There was, of course, a third lightkeeper, and he did not drown, don't worry. He was there long enough to see the lighthouse erupt into flames, covering him in 2nd and 3rd degree burns. No one really wanted to take the position of head lightkeeper after that. Today, the Coast Guard mans Boston Light. It is the longest continuously manned lighthouse in our country. And so frequently do they see a man, or should I say a spectral figure, wandering the beach, appearing in the lighthouse and going up the lighthouse stairs, never to reach the top, but never to return below. That they mark this occurrence with a GW in their logbooks. GW for George Worthylake. George is one of the most well-documented ghost sightings in our country, which is why I like to bring you here before we head back to the trolley.
He's watching TV.
In the city.
Yeah. City life. Isn't that like Friends? Isn't that what they
That
live in
would
the
be
city?
fun before you have kids. I wouldn't want to raise my kids in the city. Yeah. I want to try it. Break it. There you go. All right, let's share it. Okay. Oh man. So good.
Royce chocolate.
You have to tell us what you think. Soft. Really good. It's so smooth, right? Yeah.
delicious.
And like a good aftertaste. It's better than any Hershey bar I ever had. Oh, like I'll take your
We're right here on the Boston Harbor right now. You guys can get a really pretty view of the harbor and all the nice things like that. I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite ladies who has to do with the Boston Harbor. Her name is Maritana. And Our Lady Maritana is a figurehead. A figurehead would be placed on the front of a ship as a sign of good luck and safe passage. And Our Lady Maritana was gorgeous. She had long, dark hair, luscious red lips, and smooth ivory skin, not a scratch on her. People loved her so much. Her story actually begins on a ship called the Bourseau. The Bourseau was a French warship that was attacked by American pirateers south of where Boston is. The ship was completely destroyed, as were the lives on board. And when people went to survey the wreckage, they found one thing bobbing in the water, Our Lady Maritana. And they said, oh my God, she is absolutely gorgeous. You know what we should do with her? We should put her on another ship. So they brought her up to Maine, and they put her on a ship by the name of the Caroline. Unfortunately, the Caroline did not have good luck. It found itself in a very bad New England storm, and this ship too wrecked. No one survived. There was debris was all over the water. We would get words out eventually. There was one thing that was completely intact though. Our Lady Maritana. When people found her, they were like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. They commented on her long dark hair, her luscious red lips, and that smooth ivory skin. Not a single scratch on her. And they said, oh, the lady this gorgeous. You know what we should do with her? Let's put her on another ship. This time, they put her on a ship called the Maritana, which is where she gets her name. And the Maritana did really well for a few years. It was coming back to port here in Boston. It had been away for quite a few weeks, and everyone on board was just so excited to go sleep in warm beds. It found itself in a nor'easter though, and it was seeking light from Boston Light, the very one we just spoke about. Unfortunately, the light did not shine quick enough, and the Maritana crashed into Shag Rock, which is right outside of Little Brewster Island. The ship split in two. Pieces of this ship and those that were on board were washing up on the shores of Boston for weeks after this happened. There was something else that washed up on shore too. Our Lady Maritana. When she was found, people were so enamored with her long dark hair, those luscious red lips, and that smooth ivory skin, not a single mark on her that they said, oh my God, she's so beautiful. You know what we should do? Not put her on another ship. I think she's a bit tired of that. I think Our Lady Maritana is bored with the sea. I think she deserves something better. I think we should put her on the head of Liberty Wharf. That way, when all the ships come here to Boston, they will be greeted by the most beautiful lady we could possibly imagine. But not long after she was put on the head of the wharf, the entire wharf burned to the ground. Except for one thing. Our Lady Maritana. When people found her amongst the ash and rubble, they said, oh my God, look at her! She's so beautiful! They commented on her long dark hair, those luscious red lips, and that smooth ivory skin, not a char mark on her. And they said, you know what we should do with her? Well, none of the other stuff has been working. I know. She's too much of a prima donna, right? She deserves royalty, recognition for her status in the world. We should put her in the State House. today we refer to it as the Old State House here in Boston. Yeah, it's perfect for Our Lady Maritana. She's a fancy girl. Although not long after they placed her in the State House, half of that burned to the ground as well. It used to be made from wood and now it's brick. And people said, none of this is working. She's beautiful, but it's not worth it. I know. Let's put her behind a very thick wall of plexiglass and put her in the basement of the Old State House, because I don't think she's meant for this world or these people. And I am happy to report, since then, she has behaved herself. Yay. And that, oh, okay, yeah, we can all imagine. Yes, chef. I'm going to tell you about someone that I bet you have never heard of before. Her name is Jane Chopin. And I compare Jane's life, up to a certain point at least, to something I find terrifying. A Disney movie. Cinderella. It'll make sense, don't worry. You see, Jane was born into death. Her mom died shortly after childbirth of tuberculosis, and if you think back to all your Disney movies, there's almost never a mother, right? Yeah, no, I tell the truth. Jane's dad raised her for a few years until he was found, I don't know where I was going with that, until he was found sitting on his living room floor, sewing his eyelids shut because the voices in his head told him to do so. Poor little girl. What a rough start to her life. Jane was placed into foster care where she was adopted by a loving and well-meaning family, except we know how this is going to go. It was like the evil stepmother and evil stepsister. They hurled insults at Jane, treated this poor little girl like a slave. Don't you feel bad for her? Yes. Yes, you guys, poor little girl. What a rough start to her life. Jane dreamed of escaping this life. She dreamed of getting her happily ever after. She even dreamed maybe one day she'd meet her Prince Charming. Someday my prince will come. Jane dreamed about this and got excited because she did. She met Prince Charming and he proposed marriage. Yay, Jane! Woo! And on Jane's wedding day, she said, this is the day I get my new life. This is the day I get my happily ever after. Until Prince Charming stood her up at the altar. Right? Poor Jane! Don't you feel bad for her? Yeah, she did nothing wrong to deserve this kind of life. Yet. Unfortunately, this started a string of suicide attempts for Jane, and during one of her hospital stays, Jane met her fairy godmother, a nurse. And Jane's fairy godmother nurse leaned into Jane one day and said, Jane, dear. Sorry. I don't know why she sounds like a drag queen, but we're gonna go with it. Jane, dear, if you mix morphine and atropine together in equal parts, your heart will stop and you'll seem to have died of natural causes. And bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. Jane's fairy godmother nurse intended for Jane to use this bit of information on herself, but not our Jane. I'm about to talk about Mass General, which is on the right side of the trolley. Jane just discovered her lifelong calling, you guys. She got her happily ever after because she immediately enrolled in nursing school! Yay! And while Jane was in school, she got great grades. Her teachers loved her. The other students loved her. Everybody loved her so much they were like, oh, Jane, you don't need to graduate. We're going to recommend you for a job at Massachusetts General Hospital. Yay! And while Jane was a nurse at Mass General, the doctors loved her. The other nurses loved her. In fact, everybody loved her so much they were like, not everybody loved her. Yeah, her patients, the ones that survived, loved her. Yeah. Jane's patients had this funny little way of dying of natural causes. No one questioned anything when Jane was found lying in bed with one of her patients, stroking their face. They were like, "Aw, what a nice bedtime routine, Jane." No one suspected anything when Jane was found straddling a patient's bed, licking. Make eye contact, it's weirder. Licking their face. They were like odd nursing practices, but get it, girl. It wasn't until Jane left Mass General, started her own private practice, and killed an entire family of 4 that people started to ask questions. Now, Jane's friend came up to her one day and said, Jane, dear, don't take offense to this or anything, but it seems like you're a patient. We know they have this funny way of dying, and of natural causes, but we're starting to wonder if you have something to do with that. Do you? And Jane was so proud of what she had done. This was her happily ever after. She said, oh my God, yes I do. I've been killing them all. Ha! She was just waiting for someone to ask her, you guys. So proud. In her trial in 1901, when Jane, I'm expecting you to catch me if I fall, by the way. Stay away. In her trial in 1901, when Jane was accused of the deaths of 31 people, she stood in front of the judge and said, it was my lifelong dream to kill as many innocent men, women, and children as anyone ever had. And at her time, she accomplished her goal. Although she was accused of the deaths of 31 people, experts believe she killed well over 100. And Jane was a bit cuckoo, why I like her so much. And she was sent to spend the rest of her days in an insane asylum, where she would shuffle up and down the halls and go up to the other nurses and say, hello, dearie. You get the morphine, I'll get the atropine, and we'll watch the board die. They gave her the nickname Jolly Jane Tobin, the Angel of Death. Don't you love her? Yeah, Jane. This is Charles Street. It's a beautiful area here in Boston. Lots of gorgeous boutiques and restaurants. People love strolling up and down the street, but it makes me uncomfortable because I don't think people understand what has taken place here. I want you guys to come back in time with me. The year is 1964. You're 19 years old. Your name is Mary Sullivan. You've just moved here to Boston. You get a job that you really like. You meet friends, and in fact, a couple of these girls, they invite you to live with them in their apartment. You're so excited because you feel like your life is really just beginning. You're invited to go out after work one night with friends, and you're so happy. You just want to make friends. The world is at your fingertips. You rush home after work, and you're in your bedroom starting to get ready when you hear a knock at the door. That's strange. You didn't expect anyone. You go over to the door and you open it, and there's a man standing there. He says he's from maintenance and he was scheduled to do some work in your apartment. But your roommates didn't tell you anyone was coming over. Maybe you just forgot or misheard, and so you invite him in and you say, just please hurry, I'm leaving soon. You go back into your bedroom, and as you're getting ready, you realize suddenly that you haven't seen or heard this man since you let him into your apartment. You walk through and you see that the front door is open, just ajar, so you slowly close it. And you go back into the bathroom to finish getting ready. As you're standing, putting the final touches on, you finally are ready to leave when you feel something tight across your throat. You try to call for help, you try to scream, but you can't breathe. These were the final moments of 19-year-old Mary Sullivan's life. Mary was the 13th and final victim of the Boston Strangler, and she lived 2 floors above the Paramount Deli to the right side of the trolley. And Mary's roommates found her body in her bedroom on January 4th, 1964, 2 floors above the Paramount Deli. Now I say Mary was the 13th and final victim of the Strangler, but that's only because her death happened to coincide with the arrest of a man named Albert DeSalvo. Albert DeSalvo was picked up on a breaking and entering charge, and while he was in police custody, he started to ramble on and confessed to over 400 break-ins. The police thought he was mad. They shipped him off to Bridgewater State Hospital for the criminally insane. And while he was there, he met with his court-appointed lawyer, a man you may have heard of by the name of F. Lee Bailey. It was during one of these meetings with F. Lee Bailey that Albert DeSalvo said, "I'm a sick man. I know this. Normal people don't do the things that I've done." When F. Lee Bailey questioned DeSalvo on this, DeSalvo described the rugs and the floors of Mary Sullivan's apartment. He described the patterns of the pictures on the walls. He even knew that in Mary's apartment in the bathroom, the cold water tap ran hot and the hot ran cold. He knew details no one but the Strangler could possibly know. Naturally, F. Lee Bailey ran straight to the papers, and the next day all the headlines read, "Boston Strangler Captured," and the city drew a collective sigh of relief. But because these confessions were made in a mental institution, they were inadmissible by law. And to this very day, no one has served time for the strangling. Don't worry though. Albert was placed in jail for all of the break-ins, and he was eventually killed by his cellmate. But this is where things get muddied. Because DeSalvo's family, although they admitted he was a very sick and twisted man, they did not think he had the stomach for these murders. And Mary Sullivan's own family did not believe that DeSalvo was her murderer. Those families worked together, and they had his body exhumed, not once, but twice. And finally, with today's DNA technology, they were able to prove a couple of years ago that Albert DeSalvo absolutely was one of 2 people, 2 men, in Mary's apartment the night that she was murdered. But his DNA was not found in any of the other crime scenes. So what does that mean? Did DeSalvo only kill Mary, and someone else committed the other crimes? Did DeSalvo have an accomplice? Maybe DeSalvo is a way to gain entry into these women's apartments, and then the real killer came in behind him. That is one of the more popular theories. Maybe it was someone else entirely different. Maybe DeSalvo just took the fall for this other person. For all we know, the real strangler, well, he could have gone free. He could have spent his time wandering the streets of Boston, mingling in with people just like us. It's a comforting thought as we make our way onto the streets of Boston into the next burial ground.
Did you notice that? brick in the tree.
Oh, yeah.
You guys come in right here, so we cannot walk the street. I created this little area just for you. You're welcome. Oh, you like that? Right in here, my group. Girls trip. Girls night. The Cape Potters. Bedford. Bedford. Dartmouth. Okay. Oh, you fancy down there. All right. So we are here on top of the Boston Common. We are about to make our way to the Granary Burial Ground. Don't worry, you're not walking uphill. We are going to cross that cross the crosswalk, and we're going to take a right and stay on the sidewalk to go all the way down. I have stopped taking my groups onto the Boston Common for many reasons. The main being I hate rats, and I'm not saying that because very poor timing. Because we're standing. I'm not just saying that because we're standing in front of the State House. I don't make political jokes on the tour. No, actually, I'm terrified of rats, and they are massive here, and it's really embarrassing when I leap into someone's arms or literally push guests on the ground because I need to get away. And yes, I will do that, and I have done that. But before we go to the Granary, I want to welcome you guys to the bonus burial ground, the Boston Common. Numbers are heavily disputed, but there are upwards of 20,000 people that are buried there on the Common. If you want to know why, it's because way back when, we didn't have shows to binge watch or doom scrolling. We had to do things the old-fashioned way if we wanted entertainment. We wanted to take the day off from work, bring the kids out of school, and come here for public execution. Yeah. People would pack picnic lunches just to come out here and watch people hang. And because you were a criminal, you couldn't be buried in a Christian burial ground like Copp's Hill or the Granary where we're going. And so they would have to like sneak over if you were a family member in the middle of the night and cut you down and bury you in a shallow grave here, because if you were caught, you too would be a criminal and you too would have the same fate. Other than that, they would toss you in the harbor, and we already know how that goes, right? True, we really liked our dead bodies in the harbor and burying them in random places. Just to give you guys an understanding of how many people were buried here, not just from hangings, when they were digging up to build the Boylston Tea Stop, they found between 900 to 1,100 bodies in that one area, because that is where the British encampment was when they were occupying Boston. I say British because we were all British at the time, and that's a loose term, but living outside in the elements of New England, you know the weather is crazy here, and if they didn't die due to the elements, they could have died due to illness or an injury during one of the battles, and so they would just place their bodies there where they were staying, which is disgusting. They lived out there for years until the Quartering Act said that all the colonists had to let them into their house and give them food and shelter and clothes and whatever else they wanted. So when they were digging to build the Boylston Tea Stop, they found all of these British soldiers, and they moved them to a more respectable mass grave, which is right by that tea stop, and there's a plaque there, and that is where they put all the bodies they find. And as you guys know, we love our construction here, so yes, we find them frequently. Let's go. Come on in and eat my friend.
Ever since that fire.
What? Your friend? Come on in.
Last year there was nothing.
It's
been taken care of.
1660.
Bradley. Lots of Bradleys.
Yeah,
They live on 2 Beach Street. Just gonna give out all my personal information tonight. It's fine.
My name is Mateo, and welcome to the celebrity portion of your tour, the Granary Burial Ground. Inside this granary, there's 2,345 headstones. But do not let that number deceive you, folks, because there's over 8,000 bodies. Ever since you all have left your trolley, you have all been standing over something. Just like I'm standing over the one and only Benjamin Franklin's parents.
I didn't know
Yes. Benjamin Franklin's parents, folks. He said he would not be caught dead here in the city of Boston. No. He was caught dead in Philadelphia instead. Yes. Now, we're at a really great vantage point of the entire graveyard, so why don't we take a look around? All the way over there is a boulder, a nice boulder. right behind the trees. That boulder is for a founding father. His name, Samuel Adams. And then across the street we have the Beantown Pub, the one and only place we can ever cold Samuel Adams, right next to an even colder Samuel Adams. And then over there on the other side, there is another boulder for another founding father. His name is James Otis, American lawyer. That man coined the phrase, taxation without representation is louder.
Tyranny.
Louder. Tyranny. That's more like it. That is what that man has said there. Taxation without representation is tyranny. Now, all the way over there, there is a monument, a rather tall monument. Belongs to John Hancock, the first man to sign the Declaration of Independence, also the first state governor of Massachusetts. And we are going to walk right on by. There's another man here buried by the name of John DeCoster. Do any of you know who that is? No. John DeCoster, he was a man that died at the age of 26. He died as a Catholic in the mid-1770s. But when he died, he had a really popular epitaph engraved right onto his headstone. An epitaph, in case if you don't know, is a piece of writing that's used to commemorate the dead. But John DeCoster, it goes like this. Stop here, my friends, and cast an eye. As you all are now, so once was I. As I am now, so you will be. Prepare for death and follow me. You see, that epitaph was so popular that even 100 years later, it was being engraved into hundreds and hundreds of headstones. So much so that in the 1800s, there was one headstone that had the same engraving. But then a man stumbled upon it. He had this to say: to follow you, I'm not content until I know which way you went. Now, the first headstone, the one of John DeCoster, is right here. Go on, take a look at it, be impressed. And when you're done, follow me. Paul Revere! Yay! And that's where we buried him. So, why are there tombstones? Well, Paul Revere, for one, was very modest. He only wanted that much, therefore that is all that he got. But the town of Boston, however, they looked at that and they said, no, we could do more than that. We could commemorate more towards Paul Revere. So let's build this monument for him. And for tourism as well. Now, Paul Revere was the man that did not write, yes? Yes, can we all agree? Yeah. Of course, excellent. Now, off he goes off to the midnight ride. Many people know that the Redcoats are coming. Just before he got into Concord, the Redcoats ambushed him. They bring him in for questioning. They ask him, who told you to do this? Why did you do this? Now, Paul Revere stayed silent during the entire investigation, just like this man here. So, they let him go. He lays low for them. But then a few months start to go on by. And another few months crept on by. And then eventually, he starts to hear some rumors, piece of news, some rumblings that the Revolutionary Army have lost the battle. The battle that we know today as the Battle of Bunker Hill. And that mattered to Paul Revere so much because he knew a very close friend by the name of Joseph Warren was going to be there that day. Joseph Warren was a military general. He was one of the Sons of Liberty, what we call today the CIA. So, upon hearing such news, Paul Revere decides to go out on another night. He does another midnight ride. He arrives at the site, grabs a shovel, and starts to dig. And dig. And dig. Going through bone after bone. Going through limb after limb. Going through pus, maggots, worms, everything. You see, he's digging through all the carnage, all the bloodshed that has happened there that day, 10 months later. Eventually, his shovel does hit one body with one very particular coat. So, he grabs that body, pulls it out of the pit, puts it to the ground, takes his 2 fingers, rams it right to the skull, fishing through worms, maggots, and pus, and was able to pull out the 2 teeth that he picks for his own best friend. In other words, Paul Revere was a crime scene investigator. Yes. That will be the very first case of dental forensics. Now, Paul Revere was very sad at this very unchristian-like burial, so he brings the man here, gives him a very proper Christian burial. And then Paul Revere lives on the rest of his life, lays to rest right there. But not Joseph Warren. You see, no matter how hard you look, no matter how hard you try, you will never find him. Joseph Warren was actually booted out of his graveyard a few years later, eventually making his way over to Forest Hill Cemetery in Jamaica Plains, where it is said he lays to rest. And I say that because many years ago, we actually had a man getting ready to take a picture one night. He stood right over there, right where he was. And on that night, he said that the atmosphere started to get heavy. Winds got colder, and then there was whispers in the air and rocks being thrown. So he said, "Who the hell was that?" Absolute silence. Nothing. So he takes a quick picture and then he runs, thinking that the kid is pulling a practical joke. But when he got the picture developed, what he saw was two very faded pair of stockings right between the two headstones. He thought that was Paul Revere mingling about right there in his grave. No. That's actually Joseph Warren paying respects to his grave. And now you may take your pictures. Let me know what you see in there. And when you're done, follow me.
But I'm going to talk about this place. The Omni Parker House, or the Parker House. I met a doorman here today, because I'd like to talk to people randomly. His name was Ahmed, but hi Ahmed! He's not out there. Ahmed! Tell Ahmed I said hi! That was not Ahmed. But good on him for playing the part. The Parker House is famous for many things. Let's see, JFK proposed to Jackie there. Wow, I know. It is the birthplace of the Boston cream pie. Yum! Woo! Ho Chi Minh was a pastry chef there. Those things are not related. Don't worry. Malcolm X is a busboy at the Parker House. John Wilkes Booth stayed there 2 weeks prior to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And while he was a guest at that time, the hotel offered free firing lessons to their guests. They don't do that anymore. But I'm not just rambling these things off to you because, of course, you're on a go see Gravestones tour. The Parker House is also the most haunted hotel in Boston! Charles Dickens stayed at the Parker House for 5 straight months prior to his first reading of A Christmas Carol. He wanted this reading to be perfect, and we know it was a smashing success. We still see it all the time here around Christmas time. And the hotel is so happy that this is their legacy, having Dickens stay there for those months, rehearsing and reading and preparing for this first telling of A Christmas Carol, that they took the mirror that was in his bedroom and they hung it outside of the ballroom. So on the second floor, you guys can go there and see it for yourself. They say if you stand in front of that mirror and stare long enough, that you may be lucky enough to see the reflection of a bearded man. Staring back at you. It's said to be Charles Dickens himself. But I have to warn you, if you see him, be careful. He might scare the Dickens out of you. Don't encourage that. I'm contractually obligated to tell that joke. But you guys know I like the weirder ones, right? On the 10th floor of the Parker House, guests frequently report seeing an elderly gentleman in a top hat and Victorian gear strolling up and down the halls. He will stop and tilt his hat to people and say, "Good morning, good afternoon, good evening." Very polite. People will run down to the hotel desk and they'll say, "Oh my God, so nice that you guys have people dressing up in period clothing like that." And they're like, "We don't." Now, you probably saw Harvey Parker because he loves that 10th floor. In fact, in room 1012, 2 sisters were staying there and they woke up in the middle of the night to find an elderly gentleman hovering over their bed. And this man looked down and said, "Are you enjoying your stay?" No. Definitely not now. Again, said to be Harvey himself, but he's a friendly ghost. He's just making sure his hotel is running smoothly. He loves that people go there. But my favorite story, well, that takes place on the 3rd floor, where in the Mr. Jack Daniels and Dr. Pill Bottle. And when he took all the pills and he drank all the Jack, he did what any normal, sane person would do. He stripped off all of his clothes. He did a crazy naked guy dance. And he streaked up and down the 3rd floor playing Ding, Dog, Ditch. Yeah! Right? High five, yeah. Guests weren't that impressed though. They called hotel security. Security threw this guy back in his room hoping he'd sleep it off. But when they went to check on him the next day, they found him in the middle of the floor, dead, in a puddle of his own sick. They cleaned up the body though. They rented it out the very next night, that room, to a nice young couple on their honeymoon. All right? We love love. From that moment on, guests who stayed in the 3rd floor complained of hearing laughter echoing along the hall. They complained of hearing banging on their doors, only to find, of course, no one was there. Guests who stayed in room 303 said that they would see their waste barrels. Just think about this. Their waste barrels ignite into flames. Guests would say that they go stroll around Boston coming back to find that not only their belongings, but their furniture had been rearranged. I don't think housekeeping is just going to go in and do that for funsies. Some guests would say that they felt a really menacing presence in their room. Others said that they saw a shadowy figure walking along the doorway in their bathroom. Some would say that they would see a man lying on the floor thinking that something was wrong and they'd go over and he would disappear right in front of them. There were so many complaints about what was happening on the 3rd floor and specifically in room 303 that the hotel felt they could no longer safely rent the hotel room out to the public. So they turned it into a broom closet. And today, if you go, you'll see room 301, room 302, broom closet, new room 303. Yeah. There's an author, you may have heard of him, who is so inspired by what was happening on the 3rd floor, specifically in room 303, that he wrote a short story about it called 1408. The author is Stephen King. And the movie was story was eventually turned into a movie starring John Cusack. You guys can go in there and you can ask them about their haunted history. They're very happy to tell you. In fact, they have a little pamphlet that they'll hand out giving you all of the best hauntings and spooky stories. So, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm glad I personally know so many of you. Also, go St. John's, Booze of Areas. Sorry about that. I want you guys to give our driver a nice round of applause for getting you guys back here in one piece on the crazy streets of Boston. I've had a lovely time with you all, truly, truly, truly. If you had fun, you saw me in the photo. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef.
Is it still on?
Yeah. Best tour guide ever.
Oh, we're hugging. I love hugging. Hugging's my favorite.
You guys have fun?
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That was
Good.
really
so
cool.
great. Yeah, I had fun.
Only for $30.
Wow.
It's the spooky review. Woo.
What'd you guys think of the ghosts and gravestones?
Really cool.
So
I liked
fun.
it.
I loved being able to go into locked graveyards at night. That was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stories were interesting. She kept that. It all depends on your tour guide. If you don't get a good tour guide, I can see how that would be lame. But our tour guide, Scarlet, she was very animated.
And happy.
Yeah, very.
And spooky.
Yeah, she was very energetic. She was into her job. At least she acted like it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it made it a fun experience. With something that could have been lame.
We
Because-
left her a good tip for it.
Yeah, because there are some questionable parts. I mean, one of the guy who was speaking, the guy who took over, you could barely hear him,
Yeah, I know, right?
and it was dark because you couldn't really see the gravestone. There was no time to look at the gravestone.
Yeah.
I guess you got to go afterwards, like in the daylight, to
Yeah,
see.
they have them open during the day.
So that's a little bit of a negative. That it's, and then I mean, there was only two. I guess I was expecting more stops, but there's only 2 stops. But still, it was fun. The drive. I think you know, because in the duck tours they pointed out more things, like along the way, and it's open there and you can see. I mean, I thought that they would point out more things along the drive. You know,
She was focusing on the grave.
yeah, more of the stories.
The spooky stories.
I thought it was fun. It was worth doing. I really respect her professionalism and sticking to character. And she was really what Scarlet was the
She
one
was
that we
better
had.
at it than I was.
She's just a
Look at
really
my
good
eyes.
storyteller.
I was
Very
like,
interesting.
But there is walking. You got to walk uphill if you're.
I
you know,
liked it.
If
I
you're,
like the walking.
well, yeah. But if you're not, if you're like handicapped or something, I wouldn't want to do it because some people, you know, would have to stay in the bus. If you're hard of hearing, that could be a problem. I would bring a flashlight. Small
You
flashlight.
think so? Oh, so you can see.
So you can see where after like
you
you're
have your
talking.
phone.
Yeah, it's not really very bright. So that's what I would do, but otherwise it's fun. I would say we do it at a 10 cookies.
Cookies.
Yeah.
What do you think? How many cookies you give it?
I give her a 9.7. I loved it.
It's fun. Huh?
Like the whole thing, the whole.
For the tour. And
Yeah.
dinner was 10. I loved dinner.
Yeah.
That was a 10 out of 10.
I think a tour, I would do like an 8 because I didn't like the guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was nice, but
But it was hard to hear him.
she was just really good.
She had the energy.
Yeah, she blew him away.
Yeah. She was much better. But with our tour guide and our tour, I give it an 8. I think an 8 is good because it was pretty fun.
8's good
8 cookies.
for the tour.
Yeah.
The tour guide was, I think the tour guide was a 10.
Oh, absolutely.
Tour guide was a 10.
She
The
was
tour
like
itself
above and beyond.
Yeah.
was an 8. The tour guide made the whole thing worthwhile.
Yeah.
Scarlet, that's the one we got.
Shout out to you.
So 8 out of 10.
If you're watching, give us a like.
A like.
Subscribe.
All right, guys. Until the next treat.
Bye.